I think I'm live. Not sure if I am. I'm going to keep going as if I am live. I think that's me. No, looking a little bit shaggier than normal. Could do with a bit of a haircut. Could do with a bit of hair. But I'm going to speak as if I am speaking to some people anyway. It'd be nice if anyone is watching. If you put a little comment in the comment bar, that would be nice to say that I am live and that you can hear me. That would be good. Maybe just a hello would be nice. Not sure. What do we think? Hey, I'm going to go with this, and if it's not working, it's not working. If it is working, it is working. So that's lovely. So first of all, we need to have, well done, Dom. Thank you very much. There is somebody out there. So we're going to talk about action theory. This is the third theory, fourth really, I suppose, fourth theory that we've looked at. We've looked at functionalism, macro theory, big and structural. We've looked at Marxism, which is again a big structural theory. You have no say in anything. It's just about society shaping you and writing on you as if you're a blank sheet of paper. Feminism is a little bit more complicated, but mainly it's about that kind of structural point of view. So things imposing themselves on you as an individual. Okay. So now we're moving on to action theory. Some students find this quite tough and quite challenging. I'm hoping that it makes sense. I've noticed from a lot of the essays that you are writing that you're really, really good as a group of people at writing about the theory itself. But then in sociology, we've got to remember that there are five main theories. So that is functionalism, Marxism, feminism, action theory, postmodernism. And really, when we write an essay, it's a conversation between all five of those things. So for quite a lot of you, I'm putting as the evaluation that yes, brilliant knowledge of feminism, for example, the essay that's just been handed in and just being handed in. However, you need to compare feminism to the other theories, okay? So hopefully my little chat here today is going to help you sort those kind of things out, okay? So first things first, action theory. The biggest thing that we need to sort out in terms of action theory is that action theory is pretty similar to interpretivism that we looked at Christmas. So those kind of words, meaning, validity, micro theory, qualitative kinds of stuff are what we're looking at here. So action theories as a whole is looking at how do you, sitting at home right now, how do you understand the world? Do you play an active part in understanding the world? And do you get an opportunity to decide whether you like bits, whether you don't like bits, whether you're going to believe in stuff, whether you're not going to believe in stuff? And that is clearly what action theories are about, okay? So person number one that you need to absolutely nail because he's going to become a bigger part in your second year of sociology is Max Weber. Okay, so I'm going to go through this. I've got my textbook open in front of me here. If you've got the capability, it might be an idea for you to open your textbook, as in the link to the textbook that I sent you yesterday. If you've managed to buy a textbook, have it there so we can go through things and you can see how I'm interpreting the material that's in front of me, and we can go through these things together in that kind of way. So first of all, Mr. Weber. Mr. Weber is kind of the godfather of action theory. He opened the door to all of the other action theorists happening. And he kind of goes like this. He was really interested in the idea of, does what I think in my head shape how I behave? And the big study he did was on a group of bonkers, nutters Christians all the way back in the sort of 17th century. They were called Calvinists, and they kind of believed that God was sitting on their shoulder and God could hear all of their thoughts and understood all of their kind of thoughts, emotions, see what they see, and all of that kind of stuff. So would that belief of God sitting on their shoulder affect how they behaved? So in effect, they're choosing not to be infected, not to be shaped by the structure of society. Their actions were being defined by their belief, and their belief in that God sitting on their shoulder. So he wrote this massive essay called The Spirit of Capitalism, Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. And he was looking very clearly at how does meaning shape behavior. And he broke his meanings down into sort of, I suppose, actions, he calls them, rather than meanings. He broke his actions down into four main things. So he talked about instrumental rational action, okay, was the first one. And that's kind of the actor, it says here in your textbook, doing things in the most efficient way to gain the most amount of money. I suppose, how do I describe that? How do I describe that? Make it better. Instrumental rational action. I go to work to earn money, okay? And I've decided with the skills that I have that teaching is the best way to give me the standard of life that I want, yeah, and to give me the money that I want, and to give me the demands on my time that I want. Now, I suppose, hey, none of you know whether I am or not. I could be a drug dealer, and I could go around Brighton nightclubs. Not at the moment, obviously. Not my employment on that kind of score is probably a bit of an issue. But I could be going around nightclubs, and I probably could earn a lot more money selling drugs in nightclubs in Brighton than I could being a teacher. However, selling drugs in nightclubs in Brighton is illegal. I could get arrested. I could lose my wife, my family, my kids, my house, and all of those kind of things. So that's not very rational to make your money in that kind of way. It is very rational for me, who's gone to university and done degrees and that kind of stuff, to sell my labour in that kind of instrumental, rational way. Value rational action is the next kind of thing that Weber talks about. And that kind of looks at the world. If I was a Buddhist, for example, and you saw me meditating as a Buddhist in a classroom, maybe at lunchtime, then you kind of go, okay, I understand why he's meditating, because he's a Buddhist. Yeah. Maybe if I was a Muslim and you saw me at lunchtime, prayer mat down, facing east, praying towards Mecca, then again, maybe you could see, hey, I can understand why he's doing that, because that's full of value. I understand the values that he has, therefore, I understand the action that he's doing. Okay. Third type of action, traditional action. If you saw me celebrating Christmas, then that's brilliant. You understand that I'm celebrating Christmas, and therefore you understand that that's something that everybody does in Britain. Well, maybe not everybody, but lots of people do in Britain up until that. And then you've got this last one, which is kind of this effectual action. So if my dog, Dixie and I have been talking lots about sociology this week. If my dog dies, she's quite old. She's 10 human years, nearly 11 human years old. So that's quite old for a dog. I don't know, that makes her 80 or something like that. I'm not sure. If she dies and I come into college sad and crying, then you kind of understand why I'm crying and why I'm sad, because of the emotion that you understand as a result of that kind of situation. Okay. So effectual action is to do with emotion. So what Weber is trying to do there is he's trying to break down why we act in the way we act, yeah, and all the different things to do with the way we act and how we act. Okay. I'm going to leave the evaluation for you to have a little look at, and I'm going to move on to symbolic interactionism. Yeah. Again, if you've got any questions as I go through this, then you need to ask those questions on the chat function or send me an email later, and that would be fine. Okay. So symbolic interactionism. Now, this is kind of looking at the symbols that we have in our lives, okay, and how we interact with those symbols. And Mead, again, is very interested, and this word meaning is going to come up lots in action theory. So symbolic interaction in the middle of the word there, symbolic interactionalism, is the most popular, and you've met it before in labeling theory, and we'll talk about labeling theory in a minute. Yeah, but people like Mead and Bloomer are looking at how we understand the world around us. How do we understand the world around us? And how different things mean different things for different people. Okay, so how do I break that down a little bit? So somebody like Mead, for example, looks at how humans are different from animals. So how are humans different from animals? Well, we have symbols, and we have those symbols, and we understand what those symbols are, and those symbols can shape our lives. And those symbols can. So, for example, I wonder how many of you, I don't, but I wonder how many of you wear a cross on your neck, or have a T-shirt with a cross on it. I wonder whether that's a thing. And wearing a cross around your neck doesn't mean that you're a Christian. Now, I think probably wearing a crucifix around your neck means you're Catholic, because a crucifix is the one with the body of Jesus on it, whereas a cross, is that just a fashion item? Can we infer, if you are wearing a cross, that it is going to be a Christian, that you are going to be a Christian? And instantly, if I see somebody with a crucifix, then a whole set of ideas goes through my brain that kind of goes, well, you must go to church on a regular basis. You must believe that Jesus is God, and loads of different things that will go through my head because of the symbol that you are wearing. Okay, and that I would assume that because a crucifix is a very specific thing, that symbol means a lot. So these symbolic interactionists are kind of helping us understand the world in terms of symbols and how we do that. Okay, so I suppose in a way, Mead uses the example of a dog, and I think that's quite an interesting example. So when you have a dog and it barks at somebody, is it always an aggressive thing? Maybe it's deriving pleasure and fun. Sometimes my little dog barks at you and is wagging the tail because she's so excited about doing something, or grabbing a ball, or fetching a ball, or doing that kind of thing. So some people can interpret the bark as being a bad thing, whereas other people can interpret the bark as, and see the other and more of the picture, and see what's going on. Someone like Bloomer carries on that idea, yeah, and kind of says that all of our actions are based on meanings. Okay, the things that we do are based on meanings, not reality. So not physical things, not things like functionalists or Marxists or feminists would talk about. But what we're saying here is that all of our actions are based on meanings. Meanings, to Bloomer, are derived from interactions. Yeah. So, for example, this is a good one. If I stick two fingers up at you, I'm sticking two fingers up at you. What am I saying? Yeah. Am I saying anything? No. If I'm doing it that way round, does that mean something different? Does that mean something different? Does that mean something different? Winston Churchill did it both ways, and it was V for victory, very appropriate, being Friday was the bank holiday for Victory in Europe Day. But really, it's a swear word. Yeah. But again, really, if we go back further, it goes back to something like the Battle of Agincourt. Okay. And the Battle of Agincourt, Britain had some very good archers, and you need those three fingers to pull a bow back in the Battle of Agincourt. Okay, so what the French did when they caught those English longbowmen is they used to get their fingers, chop them off. So what the army would do to show that they still had their fingers and still were a threat would stick two fingers up at the French army to say, look, I can still shoot you with an arrow. So that action has gone into our mythology and gone into our lexicon of swear words, and now means something completely different to certain groups of people. I think the word gay would be another really good example of what Bloomer is talking about when he's talking about this interaction process. Yeah, the word gay means light-hearted, frivolous, sort of gregarious, happy-go-lucky kind of person. That's what it would mean in the dictionary. But then it was used negatively in the sort of 70s and 80s to describe people who are homosexual. And then in the sort of 80s and 90s, people who were homosexual took that word on to themselves to describe themselves. And now you guys probably use it as a derogatory term, and that thing's really gay. Yeah. and probably don't think about the sexuality that's involved with that word and the struggle that was involved with that word in any way, shape, or form. So, therefore, the meaning of that word is derived by interaction with other people. Another one that I'm aware of when I'm thinking about this is I'm kind of thinking about a little while ago, one of the American presidents, Bush Jr., in a news conference, you could probably search for this on YouTube, in a news conference, had a shoe thrown at them. Now, you might not think, I mean, it's pretty scary, I suppose, having that shoe thrown at you, but you might not think that's a bit of an insult. But the guy came from the Middle East who threw the shoe, and that's one of the biggest insults that you can give in the Middle East, because your feet are your dirtiest part of your body. And so, therefore, by putting the dirtiest part of your body on somebody else, that's kind of equivalent in our world. And I'm not going to say it, don't worry, but dropping the C bomb would be the equivalent in our culture. And so, again, meaning is derived from interaction. Again, very different, small scale we're talking about here, micro sociology. We're not talking about meanings being given to us like Marxists would say, yeah, that capitalism gives us meanings. And feminists equally are saying that feminism, yeah, patriarchy is given to us, and we are told to be patriarchal and functionalist, like the way society works. So all of this, all of those three theories are top-down theories. Whereas here, we're talking about bottom-up theories, people deriving their own meaning. Okay, moving on, labelling theory. I'm not going to talk about labelling theory very much because we've done it in education, we've done it in class and education, we've done it in ethnicity and education, and we're going to do it again in crime and deviance. Hopefully, if we all come back safely after the summer holidays and we do crime and deviance, we're going to do it again there. But again, when I'm thinking about labelling, I'm thinking about Mr. Becker, I'm thinking about his work. That if I call one of you really unintelligent, do you go, okay, I'm really unintelligent and I'm not going to work very hard in sociology? Label has effect. Or are you going to go, well, stuff off, you git. I am very intelligent, and I don't care what you think, and I'm going to work really hard and show you that I'm really intelligent. Again, labeling affects you, yeah, and those things are kind of really important, yeah, when we're doing that kind of situation. Okay, so labeling theory we've already dealt with, but it's good to have a little go at Cooley, the looking glass self. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in the same way as other people see you? Yeah, and that kind of stuff. Okay, so moving on to Goffman's dermatological model. Yeah, I suppose, how do we manage the impressions that we have? So there are two clear concepts that Mr. Goffman talks about, impression management for Goffman. We seek the presence of particular images of ourselves to our audience. We kind of, I suppose, life's a stage, I suppose, is what we're talking about when we talk about Goffman. So think about, when we're thinking about Goffman, you need to think about what groups of people do you live with, okay? So for my life, I've got work, I've got father, I've got teacher. So am I the same? I've got a husband, sorry, forgot wife there, a bit of an issue. Am I the same with each of those groups of people? Am I the same with each of those groups of people? Do I behave the same? Do I present myself in the same way with each of those groups of people? Now, I might do, I might not do, but I wonder if you do. Do you wear a different uniform to go to work than you come to college? Do you wear a different uniform when you come to college than when you go out with one of your special friends? Yeah, so that's kind of the situation that Goffman's talking about. Who is the real you? Is Alistair the teacher the real me? Is Alistair the father the real me? Is Alistair the husband the real me? Is Alistair with my friends the real me? Or is it a combination of all of those things? So again, Goffman is talking about meaning. Goffman is talking about how meaning works and what meaning is and how we behave because of what we think about ourselves. So all of that is about symbolic interactionism, looking at the roles that you play within the life that you lead. Okay, now we come to two harder theories, okay, because they're a little bit more theoretical, they're a little bit more philosophical. So if we talk about phenomenology first, now again, after Christmas, when we do the study of beliefs, we're going to be very much aware of um, looking at one particular sociologist where he's going to be talking about religion from a phenomenological point of view. And it's again all about meaning. We don't need to worry about his name or anything like that at the moment, but we do need to understand this idea of typifications. Okay. And what phenomenology is really kind of going on, and what he will tell us when we get there. So people like Bibby would be somebody that we could talk about from a phenomenological and religion point of view, is that religion can help us make sense of the world around us. Okay, religion can help us make sense of the world around us. So I'm going through my life, and something really horrible happens, like I lose my job. Horrible, yeah. But because of my faith and because of the way I typifications is a key word. My brain have lots of different categories in my brain. I lose my job, and then I kind of go, well, it's probably for the best. Yeah, it's probably for the best. It probably means that my God upstairs, sitting on a cloud, big white beard, is wanting me to do something else, and therefore him making me lose my job will push me to the place I'm supposed to be. Okay. So, because of the way I understand the world, because of the category, the typification that I put in the world about how I understand the world through the Bible, then I kind of go, well, God looks after me, and therefore anything that happens to me happens because of a purpose, and I need to sort that out in terms of that purpose. Okay. So, what Schutz and Husserl are talking about is that really small scale meaning that we give to the experiences that individuals have. So again, going back to that idea that, hey, I suppose I'm sitting on a chair at the moment. Sorry, hit the table. I'm sitting on a chair at the moment. Why is it not called an orange? Why is it not called a banana? Is it called a banana? I wonder that sometimes about when I'm thinking about Japanese, and we have some Japanese students with us sometimes, that maybe Japanese people are all lying to us. And when they tell us what the word for chair is, it's really orange. And every time an English person says, oh, I'm going to sit down on a chair in Japanese, you're saying, I'm going to sit down on an orange. And then they all have a good laugh at us. Yeah. So what, again, typifications, how do I understand the world around me? How do I derive meaning from the world around me? And that meaning is derived from, I suppose, again, interactions, but at a really small scale. So social action theory with Weber is quite large individual actions with each other. Symbolic interactionism is smaller. Phenomenology is even smaller than that. And then we get on to ethnomethodology. Okay, ethnomethodology. And this refers to doing research as well as doing sociology. If I'm going to study someone in an ethnomethodological way, so if I was going to study you, I would have to come and live with you and live with you for a long time so that I could understand the world around you. That's what I'll have to do. Okay. I have to live with you for a long so that I would be able to ask questions. Well, what do you mean there? When you did that, why are you doing that? So I could have a complete understanding of you as an individual and have a complete understanding of how you work as an individual when I'm studying you. So ethnomethodology is the living with people and the studying of them while you're living with people. Okay. So here we have two keywords. Okay. We have the word indexicality and we have the word reflexivity. Okay. So some things are just indexed that we understand. We understand this is a chair, table. I'm talking to you in front of a computer. I have a mobile phone. I've got a cup of coffee. A bit cold now, but hey. That we don't need to necessarily describe those, but thinking about my cup, Okay. So I wonder if I had Andy Warhol's real signature on my cup, does that make it mean something different? Yeah. And that's where we get into this idea of reflexivity. Obviously, cups are for drinking stuff out of, cups are for drinking stuff out of, but everything is negotiable and everything has different meanings. I've got some pictures, yeah, around me. I've got a guitar here. Um, I've got some games behind me. I've got a speaker, yeah, and they're all kind of mundane things. But again, if that was an original painting, then that means something different than it being the print that it is, yeah. So therefore, when we're talking about things like indexicality and reflexivity, we're kind of saying, I suppose, from an ethno-methodological point of view, that everything is negotiable. Nothing is solid. There is no solid reality. There is no solid um, world around us, except for the world in which we make, and except for how we make that world. Okay, so hopefully that's vaguely helpful. That I've gone through the four main things that you need to be aware of, and that might help you in your understanding of this. I think it's worthwhile finishing with Giddens and structuration theory and Giddens structuration theory. It's probably the theory that I'm closest to as a sociologist. It's probably the theory that I think makes most sense. So if I try and explain it, because it kind of helps us, it's sort of halfway between action theory and functionalism, Marxism, and feminism. So it kind of sits halfway between those two things. So you've got functionalism, Marxism, and feminism that are structural theories. And then I've just gone over a bit of action theory with you, and that's kind of small scale. So we've gone from large scale there to small scale there. And Giddens kind of blends both of those things together. And he calls his theory structuration theory. Okay, and so what we've got here with Giddens structuration theory is he kind of says that there's a structure to society that we react to and that we have no choice about because it is our society. So things like language, how we understand concepts are sort of given to us when we're young. So something like love. I've used this example before. I think probably Greek people make better lovers than British people. Why? Because Greek people have more words for love. British people only have one word. So if I say I love my wife, that's different from I love my children. That's different from I love chocolate. That's different from I love playing board games. That's different from I love my guitar. Okay, so all of those things are different types. And I need to put something next to the word love to help it make sense. Okay, so that would be thing number one. I can't change how our society deals with love. Can't change that in any way, shape, or form. That's just how our society. So that's a structure element of it. But I can choose how I react to that concept, action. Okay. So Giddens is saying that we are affected by the structure, but we can choose how we let that structure affect us. I'll give you the perfect example, probably a bit redundant at the moment because you should have had your transfer exam tomorrow. So you're probably not worried about that at all. But hopefully you're beginning to get a little bit worried about your exams next summer. Okay, so can you do anything about the fact that your exams, or there are going to be exams in sociology happening next summer? And some clever people might go, well, yeah, I don't have to do them. I could leave the course, but that doesn't change the fact that an exam is going to happen. So the structure of society, in a way, that exam is going to happen next summer. But you can choose how you respond to that action, that effect. Yeah, you can choose to work really hard. You can choose to bury your head in the sand and hope it all goes away. That's not gone so well for people this year who were going to leave everything till the last minute and hopefully pull it out of the bag for the exam, because then they have left it to the last minute and they've not got very good marks on my progress, and then maybe they don't get such good marks as they might have been able to get in the end because they've left it till the last minute. Yeah, and inversely, you get some people who work really hard and then don't do very well in exams. They might get better marks this year as a result of how things are going on. So the point for structuration theory is that there is a structure, exams are going to happen whether you like it or not, but you can choose how you react to that reality. And that's kind of what Giddens is going on about when he's talking about structuration theory. There is a structure, functionalism, Marxism, feminism talk about the structure of society that affects us. I suppose Boris telling us to stay at home at the moment, although he's not very clear at the moment about what's going on about schools, but that's a different question. Yeah. So looking at what's going on, and then we choose how we react to that reality. Yeah, some people having a nice time in isolation because they're introverts and they don't really like talking to other people. Other people are finding it really difficult because they're not able to share with their friends and be with their friends. So it's really important to understand that both of those kind of things. And structuration theory would be a really good bit of evaluation in the essay that you're going to write. Okay, so for this Sunday, you've got a 20-mark essay, 4 paragraphs on action theory to write. And lo and behold, you've got social action theory, Mr. Weber, maybe paragraph number 1. And then you've got symbolic interactionalism, describe that. Labeling theory, if you can't think about anything else, but it'd be good to bring in the others. Paragraph number 3, phenomenology, what have they been talking about? Yeah. Paragraph number 4, ethnomethodology, paragraph number 4. And then you've got, I think we've done 3 theories already, haven't we? So we've done functionalism, a bit of evaluation, feminism, a bit of evaluation, second paragraph maybe, Marxism, a bit of evaluation, and then you've got a lovely bit on Giddens' structuration theory that you can do as the 4th bit of evaluation. Introduction, conclusion, introduction having the debate, conclusion answering the question. Do that, you get a really good mark. Yeah, 4 paragraphs with good evaluation, got to be 14, 15, 16 out of 20, and that should be really good. So it's been a little bit scary doing this. It's been a little bit eye-opening. I've not got many questions on the right-hand side. That might be because, hey, it is 11 o'clock and maybe the majority of my sociology students are still in bed, so getting out of bed might be a bit of an issue. But I think I'm going to try and do this again next Monday at about the same time. I'll put a little link out there for people to join in next Monday, so I can talk through postmodernism. I think the reality, excuse me, of our situation is that we're going to be in lockdown for a little while longer. And I don't imagine that I'm going to get to see you till the middle of June, maybe even July. Yeah. And so this might be the format of how things work from now on. A little half-hour chat from me about the topic that we're going to go over, and then the Yammer posts, which have all of the operational stuff. More than happy to answer questions at any point, more than happy to answer questions at any point during the podcast, during the live stream, or you can email me those questions again. If you get stuck, email. Got to remember though, this is what I'll finish with, that we kind of work from 8:30 till 4:30 Monday to Friday. So if you're if you're sending in stuff at Saturday, Sunday, and you get stuck and leave it till the last minute, then you might not get a response, or you might get a response that says, please be a little bit more organized with your time. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week.